Okay, welcome everybody to another hashtag Real Talk podcast. This is where we deal with real issues and bring you real solutions for real people. Now, obviously the key thing for us is to bring you inspiring, motivating and empowering content to take your life to the next level. And I am super excited to bring a good friend of mine, Mr. Brendan Turner, okay, onto the podcast. Now, let me just give you some context of why I brought him onto the show, and obviously he'll tell you a little bit more about himself. This guy has an incredible story that I think is going to help millions, literally, I say this now, millions of people. The reason being is that when we look into society now, dealing with obesity, and we'll talk about some of the stats in a minute, is a big problem. It's a huge problem. And I've seen this guy have one of the greatest weight loss stories, okay, that's not on TV. The greatest weight loss story that's not on TV. And not only has he had the weight loss, but this guy's been able to maintain it. He now has a fitness business, and we'll talk about that. He's a master personal trainer, okay, and we'll talk more a little bit about that as well. So, you know, for those obviously looking to say, well, how do you lose weight for the long term? We're going to be able to give you the source and the secrets to success to be able to maintain that. So, Mr. Brendan Turner, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, it's good to see you. Good to see you. I think I've known you now, my gosh, probably over 4 years. It's got to be something like that.
Yeah, when I started working at Virgin Active about 3.5, 4 years ago. Yeah, so
my memory's good.
I met you on one of the evening shifts when I was moving weights around the gym.
Yeah, he was out there like making it happen.
Trying to sort of dip my toe into an industry that was scary and daunting, man. But
that was your, because you were. Let's say a little bit about your story, because before you were a personal trainer, you were a golf.
Yeah, so I mean, my story, you know, we've got some time here, but I grew up in Zimbabwe, and we moved to Botswana in about 2002, 2001. But my goal was always to play professional golf, so I was always into movement. But my weight kind of fluctuated as a teen and as a kid.
Oh, okay.
So I went through spells where I was really on my nutrition and kind of.
We all know that one.
Yeah, I'm in it, and then you sort of lose your way a bit, and lots of things happened in my life at that stage, and probably too much detail to go into today. But the gist of it is I moved over to the UK to sort of get a job and have a gap year, and I put on loads of weight. Because I realized that chocolates were like 50p when I got here, man. I was like,
isn't it crazy that the food that's really bad for you is the cheapest?
Yeah. But I mean, coming from Africa in particular, where that was more of a treat.
Right. Okay.
You could see it readily available. You walk into a shop and it was like, wow, and it's relatively cheap, right? Yeah. So the sort of the shock factor got me, and then I didn't get a scholarship to the States in the end, and I was quite despondent. Went back home to Africa and then came back in 2006. Yeah. And sort of decided I'll take this seriously, I'll lose some weight and train real hard, and then I got over to the States, not on a scholarship for golf, actually a scholarship for art.
Wow. I didn't know you were creative like that.
There's
a new site coming out, so there we are.
So I did a bit of art, and I spent my first year trying to play for the golf team over there. So although I wasn't being paid to be there, per se, we sort of put some cash together and stuff, and it was tough, man. It was hard. I got there, I'd lost loads of weight, I was looking good, I was trim, but I wasn't as good as some of the guys out there, and it was a hard pill to swallow, that, because you're like,
I've been building up for so long, this dream.
And you think sort of when you get to a certain place, if it's a goal or something like that, once you get there, cool, we're done. And actually the hard work had just begun. I just didn't realize it, and by the time I realized it was too late, and I had to pack my bags and come over to the UK,
and that's when the journey began.
And then that's when the journey to big became the real thing, because I just kind of gave up on myself and was like, do you know what, I've got nothing. I literally felt at one point like I had nothing left to live for.
Wow.
In many respects. And
do you find that, just on that point, do you find a lot of people, and because obviously you're a personal trainer, you're working with people all the time, do you find that people who have weight issues tend to have a story behind that? So it's not just you piled on. There tends to be a story, because your story started, it sounded like when you had this rejection or failure of a dream.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do. I think there's a lot of stuff that goes in people's heads. Sometimes they don't even realize it. It only took me, it took me a while to realize sort of the sort of ramifications of what I was doing to my body, but also why I was doing it.
Wow.
And I remember actually journaling through the sort of later phase of the weight loss, because I wanted to speak about what was happening when I was losing weight. So I kind of, 2010, I was still fairly active. I was working in a pub in London. So 2007 I came back from the States. 2008 started working in a pub, got promoted, and then I was cycling to and from work, so it kept me active, right? And actually that was a good thing for me, because it was like I was doing 11-hour shifts on my feet, jump on the bike, cycle 30 minutes home, 30 minutes to work.
Crazy active.
I was really active, and so didn't really, the food didn't really hit me hard. But then as soon as I got into a relationship, I got a bit comfortable, and then I stopped cycling. I lived in, like 5-minute walk from the pub. That's when things started to hit real hard.
To balloon. So what would be your normal weight then? So, because obviously as we talk about this journey and what you ballooned up to, so what would you say was your normal weight? I would say anything between like 82 kilograms to 78 to 82. I'm a little bit heavier now. I've put on some muscle. But in total, I got up to 22 stone. Wow. Which is 140 kilos. That is incredible. And like you had another guy with you. Pretty much. You dating yourself? Like literally, that's like dating yourself, isn't it? Wow. I was actually, my girlfriend at the moment weighs 64 kilograms or something, so I was carrying her around with me. That's how much weight I lost in the end. So it's 10 stone I lost. Crazy. And so as you said, so the beginning of that then was the stopping of the exercise, the access to food like you wasn't used to. And being so absorbed in my work, and the reason I threw myself at the work that I was doing was A, because I needed the money, and B, I just didn't want to live up or face the fact that I'd failed at my dream, which was playing golf professionally. So I kind of realized the failure and thought, I'll just have some food, that'll take my mind off things, or I'll throw myself at another 12-hour shift, because then all I have to think about is the job and making profit and running the pub and that kind of thing. And then it's when I don't think I took a holiday from like 2010 till about 2013. Wow. And when I took a holiday, that was when I had space for my head. There was no signal. I went up to Scotland for my sister's 30th. There was no phone signal. I was at the biggest I'd ever been, and I just managed to quit smoking. And I was like, you start reflecting, right? When the silence appears, you start to think about things, and this is not me. I think it helped because we were in a house with like 12 people in the house, and we decided as a collective for the whole 10 days that we were up there. I hadn't been on holiday with other people. I'd mostly been living alone at this stage. People were like, we're going to share food. And I was like, cool, that's fine. And then I realized halfway through dinner that there was no more food. And I was sitting there thinking, how am I going to cope with where's the rest of it? And, we had the appetizer, where's the main? Come on. And it was, most people were full after one bowl. And I was like, man, I'm used to eating more than this. So in the end, I ended up going to the shop, and I would buy my own, like during the 10 days I was buying my own stuff, food as well, and then I was keeping it in my room. So at the end of the night I knew I would have the meal with everybody, and then I'd go up to my room and I'd put my computer on, watch a couple of TV shows or something, and then you go and snack some chips. So here's the thing, because here's a question I hear a lot, where people will see someone who is, because you would be classified as obese. At that stage, definitely. Okay, and people will say, how did you let yourself get to that stage? People will say, and I hear that all the time. Surely you would have known when you were a stone overweight, 2 stone overweight, 3 stone overweight. Why get to 8, 6 or 64 kilograms over? Why did you not see that before? Was it, as you said, because you mentioned that you were super busy, you were focused, you were comfort eating. Did you just not care at that time, or did you not notice, or was it so gradual?
It's a little bit of everything, actually. And the reason I'm sort of chuckling is because there's so many instances of this happening, and I'm like, I don't understand why that is.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I came to work one day and I bought some new jeans.
Yeah.
And one of the waiters that was working for me at the time was like, have you got new jeans? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. And he's like, what happened to the old ones? And I was like, I took them out of the washing machine. They're a bit tight.
Yeah.
And that was my genuine like understanding of it. I was like, I've washed my clothes and they just seem a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But there was no point at which I was like, maybe I'm doing the wrong things here. Yeah. And I'd sort of taken up smoking quite heavily as well. Yeah. So I was smoking 20 a day. I was smoking a lot of marijuana at the time as well. So I was really in a state of, it was 5 days a week at work, maybe 6. My day off would revolve around me waking up, maybe, smoking some joints and smoking cigarettes, and just kind of diving into my own little world of food and comfort. And then, it's difficult because there were so many phases of things that happened between 2010, 2013. I'd moved in with my girlfriend at the time. The house that we were in caught fire. So we lost the kitchen, we lost a lot of our belongings. And we didn't really have much insurance to cover everything, and that was just another knock-on effect. So we moved into a place that didn't have a fully finished kitchen, so we were eating takeaway food a lot. And then that kind of carried on for a bit, and then we moved again. So there was a lot of disruption. And when you're focused solely on just trying to get by, there isn't, to kind of answer your question, there isn't much focus on you and what's happening to you. My job got so stressful that I just decided one day, you know what, I've got this much holiday that I haven't taken. I'm just going to quit. And that was when you could get paid holiday. So if you hadn't taken your holiday for 2 years, they would pay it out to you, right? So I had a lot of holiday, and I took, I don't know, it was like £4,000 or £5,000 pay, and said, see you later, guys, I'm done with this job. I'm going to go and reinvent myself. But I was not in a headspace to do that. So I just stayed at home eating Domino's every day. And I spent all my money on food. And so for 3 months, I spent between sort of end of 2011, beginning of 2012, I spent a lot of my time out of work completely, and just at home, sort of living off savings, and and then I ran that into the ground, and so I became broke. And not only that, I was broke, I kind of went out. I hadn't gone out the house much in 3 months. I'd literally stayed in the house.
So what so for a lot of people who are listening to this, they could probably resonate, who may be overweight, and saying it's not that I didn't want to, but there can be different calamities that are just one after another, and you tend to focus on that rather than yourself. So that kind of, hopefully that answers your question. 100%.
If you're so far in the thick of things like I was, it just, you become completely absorbed in the issues from day to day, and whether it's with your spouse or someone that's having a tough time, you take that on board. You're having a tough time, you take that on board. You couple in, I don't know, moving house a couple of times and trying to settle and find your place in the world, where I thought of myself as a professional golfer, but there I was, that was taken away. There I was pouring pints, thinking, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? This goes against, I wasn't a heavy drinker. I did have a few drinks, but I didn't necessarily agree with the industry. So you're kind of fighting your morals the whole time, and at some point you have to sit back and take some space and go, this is where I've got to. And
so that's that, where you draw a line in the sand and say, because what it looks like up to this point, everything was external, and you very rarely did you look internally and say, it's about me now. It was like, I'm going to deal with this, deal with that, and deal with that. So a lot of people who are struggling with that, and we'll talk about when your turning point, because you mentioned Scotland. So you had all these calamities, disappointments, stresses. You got to a place of about 20 stone, you were saying, or
22, man.
22 stone. Sorry,
that's cool.
don't leave out.
Don't leave out the other
don't leave out the other two. I guess it's important. So you know, so you got to this place, we understood what you got there, then you got to this milestone, or this to Scotland.
Yeah.
And that was the moment of where you said, was that the moment? Because I know you were eating more food there and things like that, but when did that eureka moment come where you said, okay, enough's enough?
I think it started, and it happened over a 6-month period. Yeah. But definitely Scotland was a turning point. So I mentioned I was smoking quite a lot. I quit the smoking, and I remember thinking to myself, if I can quit smoking, then you know, there's a lot you can achieve, right? And I'd had friends, you know, saying things to me here and there that would, you know, wake up calls, but you kind of laugh them off. And I've got quite a good sense of humor, so I'll tend to turn things into a bit of a joke. And people saying, oh, you'll never progress in this industry if you're overweight and where you're at. And, you know, then I got appendicitis when I was working, and I ended up in hospital with a chest infection and all these different things. Wow. And they're all tell signs that I was suffering and that I was in pain and that I needed to sort myself out. But Scotland was the real opportunity to kind of understand from a more tangible level. Like if someone says to you, oh man, you know, you've got a problem with your knee, it could be in your hip. You're like, yeah, whatever. Cool. My knee really hurts. So that's what was happening to me all the time. And then when you sit down around a table of 12 people and you're like, I need more food, then you realize, the hip is the problem.
It's really the issue.
So that's what I mean by that.
So would you say then, because what I want to do is draw out some key pointers that can help someone else start their journey. One of the things that you said was that actually I took time for myself. You know, that was one of the things you said before you went to Scotland. It was like, okay, I haven't taken a holiday, and I know you went for your sister's wedding, but you know, for anyone, and we always say this, you know, we have a concept in our coaching, and we say if you want to transform your life, there's we call it a time model. And the time model is, the T represents give yourself time to think, am I living, doing, or being the person that I want to be? Am I doing what I want to do? Am I where I want to be? And most people don't give themselves the time to reflect, to actually say, this is not the course. So would you say that like if you're not happy with who you are right now, you're looking at yourself, give yourself the time to say, actually, I'm not happy, but also where you want to go?
I would say that's a good starting point. Definitely. You know, I work with people on that basis of, have you given yourself time? You know, I mostly work with professional people who are struggling with predominantly weight loss, to kind of coach them around the mindset of it. And for me, it was a mindset thing. So if you will imagine a pyramid, I explain this to people with visual representation. So a pyramid structure of like, let's say 50-50 on the pyramid, 50% exercise, 50% nutrition. That's what most people would, or health authorities would say, you know, focus on equal parts in your lifestyle. If you think about the average person, especially come January, you know, New Year's resolutions, they think about sort of maybe mostly exercise and
80-20.
80-20, 80% exercise, 20% nutrition. How I work with people and make them think about things is, actually, if we split the pyramid 80-20, we put exercise as the 20, we put mindset as 40, and we put nutrition as 40. But actually the two kind of work synergistically. So from a time perspective, time gives you time to sit back and go, well, so-and-so said I need to lose weight, you know, or I had conversations with people saying, you know, for every cigarette you smoke, or 15 cigarettes you smoke, you develop a predisposition to developing cancer. So all these things that have backpiled and you've put in the back of your head.
I'll think about them one day.
They have space, because you're not thinking about work, you're not thinking about this, you're not thinking about that. You've got that space for those things to come and go. They're in the forefront of your mind. I now understand. So that's why I feel the way I feel. That's why I've got high blood pressure. That's why I'm anxious all the time. That's why I feel depressed. That's why I'm comfort eating. And so when I got to Scotland, it was sort of, there was a big resistance for me to let go of that, because I was like, well, I need to find phone signal. I need to help the work. Guys at work need to know what to do when I'm not there. And then thankfully one guy really annoyed me at work, and he was messaging me about something he should have known how to do. And I just like, I'm going to turn my phone off. Turn my phone off, and then
give yourself that time.
Slowly started to kind of go for a walk, take some space, no headphones, just kind of enjoy nature. And then after about 4 or 5 days, when I got back to London, I was like, wow, I couldn't walk up a hill. I couldn't breathe. Everyone was waiting for me on these walks. I really think I've got to sort this out, because it wasn't the fact that I can get by going up and down some stairs at work, or I can get by going up and down the tubes in London. This was like, you can't walk up a hill to a waterfall without 12 people having to stop and wait for you.
Okay, that's like a major red flag for you. It was like,
that was huge, man. Like, I was sweating. It was summertime, but I was sweating and uncomfortable, and people around me weren't even breathing heavy, man. They were just like, what's wrong with
what's going you?
And you can see the look on, I could see the look on people's faces, like, this guy's, it's not annoyance, it's like concern. It's genuine concern.
So you got this time now, so you got this reflection to tell us now then, what was it, you realized you had to make a change. What was the things that you now did, that someone else can follow, that allowed you to now lose 66 kg?
So that's a good question, and my sister had said I should try and reset myself. And I know this catches a lot of fire in the industry, especially fitness wise, and I'm not a big advocate for it at the moment, but she said, oh, go for a 7-day juice cleanse, where you make your own fresh juices and blends. You blend avocados, vegetables, and all this kind of stuff, right? Pretty extreme to most people, and someone like yourself, you do a bit of bodybuilding, right? From a sugars standpoint, and fructose, and that's probably like your worst nightmare, putting that kind of sugar into your body. But to me, it was like, well, if I can do something that's, I could sit here and still eat 15 chocolates or whatever it was, or I could just put fresh fruits and vegetables into my body. The likelihood of me eating those was very low. So I was like, well, if I can read this book, there's a book that goes along with one of the cleanses, and I read through it, and the guy was very shouty, but he was just saying, simply just, if I told you to eat a head of broccoli, you wouldn't want to do it. But if I make it taste all right with some apple and some, some spinach, and we blend it all together and we juice it,
you're more likely to.
You'll enjoy it more, and actually it'll feed your cells, it'll nourish your body, and it just helps that repair process take place. And so I was like, well, 7 days isn't a long time. Let me give it a go. And I did it 7 days, and it changed the way I thought about food. And by the end of the 7 days, instead of craving pizza, I craved fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, lean meats, things like that. So it was a big shift, but it all started up here. It started between my ears.
You got to start with a mindset.
And it's understanding, and I say this to people, you don't have to do extreme dieting. You don't have to do anything crazy. I did because I was an extreme case, but what you have to think about is, if you take a scale of 1 to 100 as a percentage wise, if you're living down in the 0% of like really bad food, high caffeine intake, low water intake, all that kind of stuff,
sugars and everything,
and really badly processed foods, and 100% is clean, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, low starch, lean meats and things like that. That's the 100. Most people live 60 to 0% these days, which is being fair, I think. If you can jump over 80%,
you're going to feel better.
You're going to be.
Well, I tell you what, I love what you did, and I really believe in this. What you did, instead of saying I'm going to take away something, your focus was I'm going to add something. So a lot of people start from a standpoint, I think, and tell me what you think. So you're a master trainer and personal training people every day. Is that a lot of people go, okay, I'm going to stop eating chocolate. I'm going to stop doing this. Instead of saying, actually, let me add to what I'm doing. So let me add a smoothie every day, or let me add juicing. Because the analogy I came across, and I was talking to a lady who also has an issue with her weight. I was like, if you say to a child, I'm going to take away your Xbox, okay, naturally you're like, no. Nobody likes anything to be taken away from us. But if you say, okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do, you're going to keep the Xbox, but I want to add 10 minutes of reading.
Yeah.
They'd be like, okay, so I can still get the Xbox and I read.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you increase that.
Yeah, it's a compromise, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So the way I talk to people about it, and I spoke to Roger about it just now, it was the concept of choice and the concept of take away restriction.
Yeah.
And enable yourself. Give yourself choice.
Love that.
Right?
Love that.
So instead of thinking, I can't have that chocolate cake, I can't have that piece of pudding, I can't have bacon and eggs.
Yeah.
Well, I can have that.
Yeah.
I can go in the shop. I can go in my car right now to the shop.
Have the choice.
I can buy a chocolate cake and I can eat all of that. We could sit here and do it.
Yeah, yeah.
But we choose not to because we know that actually it's more beneficial to choose something healthier.
Right.
So if that means swapping out an apple for swapping out a piece of chocolate for an apple. Well, hey, that's a win, right?
Powerful.
So if you start with those wins and you have a win in your day, that is, I was at lunch today and it was a big spread.
Yeah.
I chose the healthiest options.
Love that.
And I chose not to have, the pudding. So I chose those things.
Yeah.
I recognize that choice.
Yeah.
I recognize it's a win. Tick that box, right?
Perfect.
Because you then reaffirm that to yourself as a positive choice. And if you think about, we have 68,000 thoughts a day or something.
Yeah, 100%.
And most people have negative thoughts throughout the day.
Yeah.
And if you're saying to yourself, right, well, each day I'm going to make a note of 3 wins.
Yeah.
You're starting to recognize positivity in your life. And that win could be, I ate well today. I stuck between 80 and 100% of my food.
Excellent.
So on and so forth. So it doesn't have to be, this extreme sort of...
I ran for 2 hours.
Yeah. You don't have to do that.
Woke up at 4 o'clock. Yeah. Listen to Rocky.
I didn't. For 2 weeks, I didn't even train. I just ate well and I lost 10 kilos.
Wow. And I love what you said there as well, because, when you gave up, you said an important thing. When you gave up the cigarettes, it was an internal enforcement that you can. And I think a lot of people who are overweight don't believe they can. And you've got to be able to tell yourself, I have the power. I am self-controlled. I am disciplined. And you have to say it in your mind first, and then it will manifest itself into physical, actions. And
I think to add to that is writing, like journaling. For me, at the sort of cusp of, I got stuck at about 90 kilograms. And I just couldn't shift this weight. And it was a combination of things. But at that point, that's the point where a lot of people might plateau, and then they just return to zero, right? They go back to where they were. They've seen some success. People are commenting on it. They're thinking,
start feeling good.
That's not.
I'm okay
bad
now.
But I journaled. I recognized that there was more to this. And then I thought, well, let's see how far I can push this. It just spirals from there, man. Once you've got a foundation of good mindset, a little bit of movement, it doesn't have to be run a marathon in a day. It just has to be, just show up each day, chip away at it, make that progress. And for the money that people spend on all these gimmicks and stuff out there in the industry, they could spend on just getting advice from people, or just save it and put that money away.
I love that. So here's the thing, because you said most people plateau because they get a little win. Did you have a bigger goal then? So when you got to 90 kg, did you have a goal that was driving you? Because we talk a lot on the show and about goal setting and things like that. Did you have a goal of being the 74 kg or the 70 kg or whatever it may be?
It kind of went in increments, so it was like, not increments in that sense, because you're trying to lose weight. But once I got to 100, it was like, oh, maybe I can get to 90, and then once I got to 90, it was like, oh, maybe I can get to 80. And then once I kind of got around where I was at, I had to sort of reflect and think, hey, now what? So it was just tweaking the goals. I mean, the overall goal was to be healthy and feel better and move better. Good. And I had people constantly saying, oh, well, you've achieved that now. You look good, you look great, have some dessert. And I'm sitting there and I was like, I'm okay, thanks, I'm cool.
I can make the choice to say no.
I can make the choice to say no. And although that, and talk about this to people a few times, is like, don't let people's insecurities of their choices negatively affect your choices.
Wow. Wow.
Stay strong to what you believe in.
Yeah.
And that's
your convictions.
why. Yeah, that's why I say stay strong and keep moving as my slogan for my company. It's important. Stay strong to what your convictions are. If you've set your goal to be, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to stick to this path, and I'm going to choose better. Just because someone's having a drink or having, some pudding and you're not, and they've gone out their way to make it, well, that's their choice to do.
Yeah.
And you've explained to them that the importance of your goal, presumably, and they can see it by the progress you're making. So just stay with that path, man.
So here's the thing now. So you've given us some obviously tips of what you did to lose the weight. Yeah. Have you maintained that? And because I see so many people who lose it and then they go back, and then they lose it and they go back. But what I've seen with you, you've been consistent. I've known you, as I said, 3.5 years now, and you've been consistent. And naturally, you pushed more. You're doing more from a fitness standpoint when I look at your social media and things like that. So how have you maintained the success? 'Cause that's always a hard part. I think getting there is good, but then maintaining it is just as hard.
Two answers. One is watermelon.
Okay. Right, okay.
And I say that jokingly, but I genuinely mean I found an anchor point for food that is a healthy option that tastes great. That gives me that sort of I don't know, let's say that feeling of, oh, cool. I've satisfied that little monkey on my
craving.
shoulder.
I need sugar. I need something sweet or something.
So I my thing is watermelon. I talk about it a lot and stuff. It could be broccoli for some. But the other thing is doing what I enjoy in the gym and finding things that challenge me but don't kill me and don't ultimately lead me to injury, don't lead me to feeling like it's a chore. But the biggest thing is just remembering every single day when you wake up. I've got a journal that I read every morning. And it's things
I love journaling. I recommend it to anyone. I think it's the most powerful thing you can do.
Just an identity of who I am. And I read that in the morning, and it doesn't have to be
a mission statement.
A mission statement.
I have a mission statement, who I'm going to be, and I read it every morning.
Exactly.
I have a guy called Zig Ziglar say to do it.
So it's on the basis of Zig Ziglar's.
Look at that. We're reading the same stuff. Okay, touch me.
I mean, reading has been a big part of it. And making sure that I'm reading self-help books. Not because I feel like I need loads of help. But there's always something you can learn.
Personal development.
You can learn
should
from
always
anybody.
Be progressing.
You can learn anything from anybody. And I firmly believe in that. But making that morning routine, I wake up, I read this. This affirms who I am. Also, it highlights where I've been and where I'm from. And it enables the choices of my day.
Perfect.
The same way the military wake up, they make their beds, right? That they start their day with a win. How can you start your day with a win? I can write some cool stuff about myself. I can read it. And some of it's relevant. Some of it's in the future. Some of it's happened. But all of it's a recognition of who I am, and it progresses me in the sense of I choose to have a good day. I choose to make good choices. I choose to have good food on my plate. And then, for family people and people with families out there, it's kind of, how do we push that to our children? How do you push that to children to say, this is an example that you should set for yourself?
That is amazing. That's amazing. So, the great thing is you showed us now, as we come to the end of the podcast, where you've been and how you got there, so people can relate to that. They'll also be able to relate to your journey of how you got the weight loss, and it does start in the mind. You know, before you talk about doing anything, start with the mind. You then said create small goals. If you're at 22 stone and you're talking about getting down to 12, just say I want to get to 21, and let that, and then celebrate the successes, and then add as well. Don't look to take away anything. I'm listening. I've listened to the whole thing with you. Don't look to take away anything, but add. Eating a piece of fruit, and then say to yourself, that's a victory. And then how you maintain that is continuing to push yourself, have new goals, and remember why you were doing it, so not go back. So you got an incredible story, and obviously now you package that into a fitness business. Okay, so as we come down, do you want to tell people about Raw Motion Fitness, which I think is excellent? I see some of your stuff on there, and your blogs are amazing, by the way, as well. So
I've started to tweak the blogs a little bit. So some of the stuff that I've written before is coming back, and there's I'm writing a blog of my life as it unfolds from when I lived in Zimbabwe. So you can kind of see the whole journey unfold. Raw Motion Fitness was founded as a blog. I started sharing my story. People really took it up, and I do online coaching for people now. So I've got people I work with over 90 days,
like live coaching type of thing.
Lifestyle and fitness coaching.
Excellent.
So we start with setting a foundation, like I've said, basic principle of that pyramid. Work with the mindset, work with the nutrition, get the exercise going, and then by the end of that 90 days or the 6 months, depending on which one they go for, they're at a position where they're actually, I don't want to work with people forever. Firstly,
you want to empower them, don't you?
I want to empower them to choose. So if someone's overweight and they lose weight, and then they're like, I want to do powerlifting, I'm like, cool. Well, I can't help you with powerlifting because I specialize in helping people change habits and behaviors and exercise. Intro into that. I do help golfers as well because of my background in golf. So I sort of touch in that market as well. But that is a big mindset issue too, because golf is a sport, and as you know, with sport, it's a lot of it's upstairs. And I work one-to-one with people at Virgin Active in Solihull as well. As a master trainer.
He's a busy guy.
So it keeps me busy. Man. But
so how could people? So someone listening to this podcast, and I believe so many people are going to be blessed by your story of saying that, cause some people won't be as extreme in terms of their weight gain, but if they can see someone who's at 22 stone has dropped 66 kg, I can do that. I may only have to lose 10. But where can they follow you then? So if they're listening to the podcast, and we'll put the details on the bottom, but if they wanted to follow your journey, your blogs, how can they follow you?
Rawmotionfitness.com is my website. So
Excellent.
there's the blog is called Driven. So Driven is sort of like it's broken down into an acronym as well. But that to me is a huge thing. Like you got to have drive, you got to be committed, you got to be driven to what you want to achieve. So rawmotionfitness.com. I'm on Instagram at rawmotionfitness.
Excellent.
Facebook at rawmotionfitness. And then I have a Facebook group, Raw Motion Fitness Team. It's a free group. There's no strings attached to that.
Is that like motivation and
techniques? Mindset, techniques, fitness, mindfulness, breathing techniques, things that help to regulate us. There's a push at the moment. I've got a free recipe book that anyone can download. So if they jump into the group or they pop on the website, they can get the free recipe guide. There's 60-something odd pages of recipes that I've used to help me lose weight. People are seeing great things, man. I sent it out to a lady. She's lost half a stone.
Wow.
And she messaged me the other day. She's like, I've just been eating some of your recipes and I've lost half a stone. I was like, cool.
Awesome. That's what you want. That's what we want.
And that's free information. It's just out there. And then I've got 10 principles guide I send to people as well. And then on the flip side, I have a movement video, and it's just a mobility and activation video. It's nothing strenuous. Anyone can do it, but it sets the foundation for fitness.
Come on, man. We're loving this.
All of this, man.
Okay, so there's so much free stuff. I've got to say thank you. I think your journey is inspiring. What you're doing.
Thank you, man.
You're now inspiring other people. And I think that's the real key of once you reach your goals is teach other people. So I really want to say thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me, man.
I hope more and more people will jump on that, and we can start to deal with what is becoming an epidemic of more and more people becoming obese, unfortunately. So thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure, man.
All right.
Best of luck with the business.
Appreciate it.
God bless you, man.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.